business keeps your team connected, whether they're working from home, in the office, or even on the
This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Blood Red channel. Guy Clark here as we bring you build up to this afternoon's final game of the Premier League season. Liverpool welcoming Crystal Palace to Anfield on what is a landmark afternoon for the Reds. 10,000 supporters back at Anfield, the most since the last time it was a full 422 days ago, that Champions League round of 16 tie with Atletico Madrid. Let's cross over to Anfield and inside the ground. One of those 10,000 fortunate enough to be inside the ground is our very own Blood Red writer, Matt Addison. Matt, I hope you can hear me. The music's pumping and I bet you're very excited.
Yeah, I can just about hear you, mate. Hopefully you can hear me too. It's a landmark occasion and they've turned the music up just at the wrong time for us, haven't they? But yeah, very much looking forward to it. It's been so long since we've had this many supporters inside Anfield. It's just one of those occasions really that I think in a number of years' time we're going to look back and it's one of those that I'll be able to say I was there for it. So it's a huge moment for Liverpool, and I think the biggest thing of all really, not just that fans are back, but fans are back for a match that really matters as well. Liverpool have to win this one. They have to at least match what Leicester City do at Tottenham, and I'm fully expecting that's what they'll do, to be honest.
Yeah, certainly. In terms of procedures of getting into the ground and everything, just explain to us what was the protocols and how simple and simplistic was it? Obviously, 10,000 inside the ground, all plenty of social distancing, and as we can see, you're wearing a face covering as well, as is the norm these days. But what were all the protocols like?
Yeah, it was really easy, to be honest. Really well thought out and straightforward. I was in the first group of fans to come in between 2:15 and 2:45. There'll be fans sort of coming into Anfield over the course of about 90 minutes or so. So it's all sort of staggered to keep people apart, that sort of thing. I know Liverpool have spoken to other clubs who had fans back, of course, midweek, Everton among them, the other 9 clubs as well who had home fixtures midweek. Liverpool got the advice from them, decided to sort of take on board a few things that they learned, and it's been really, really smooth. I mean, they advised people to get COVID tests within the last sort of 48 hours or so. I got one yesterday, obviously tested negative for that, so hence I could be here today, and that's the same for all of the other 10,000. It's been really smooth, it's been really easy. It's mobile ticketing, it's all of the usual things that Liverpool do, but just really well organised, and I think the club have done superbly. I think this is something that we're going to have to sort of get used to. It'll be interesting to see how many fans are here for, August the 14th, I think, when next season kicks off. Hopefully it's even more than what we've got now, but yeah, for now they've done a brilliant job to get people in. It took me 5 minutes or so to get in. I was expecting it to take a little bit longer, to be honest. I thought there'd be longer queues and that sort of thing, but it all just worked like clockwork, and I've got absolutely no complaints in that regard. I'm sure it'll be exactly the same when it's kind of the end of the game, the end of the lap of honour, that sort of thing. It's going to be a kind of staggered approach to get people out of the stadium as well.
Yeah, last one before we let you go, mate, and enjoy the game itself. As a regular match goer, of course, Anfield always has that buzz about it, that hive of activity. We're going to check out pictures outside the ground shortly here on the Blood Red channel. But what was it like being back at Anfield, the hive of activity, the buzz around the place? 10,000 there might not look many inside the ground, but I'm sure outside, with you all arriving at different times, it did have that buzz of a match day. Plenty on it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I did a Facebook Live for the Echo's Facebook page earlier on, and it was fairly quiet at that time, to be honest. There was a few people sort of going in and out of the shop and milling around, just sort of making the most, really, of the opportunity to be back here. But obviously, since then, more and more people have started to arrive. As I came in, there was, fairly large crowds outside, obviously all social distance and that sort of thing. So it's all perfectly safe. But yeah, it's just great to have that sort of buzz around the place, to hear people sort of looking forward to going to the game. I mean, I've been down here a couple of times, and I was here for the FA Youth Cup quarter final, for example. There was about 10 journalists, and that was it. And it's just not the same, is it? It's obviously the same building, it's the same seats, it's the same pitch, all that sort of thing. But I think without the fans, there's just something absolutely enormous missing, really. So it's it's one of those. It's a big relief to see people back. I'm sure the 6,000 people who were here earlier in the season enjoyed their time, and I'm sure, myself included, the 10,000 who are here today will do exactly the same thing. It's one of those to make the most of, enjoy it. Hopefully Liverpool get the result that they need, and fingers crossed, we don't have to sort of have these sorts of things moving forward. Hopefully we just get back to normal once again.
Matt, thanks a lot, mate. Enjoy the game, and as you say, fingers crossed the Reds get the result to secure 4th place. Well, Matt Addison, the Blood Red writer, there inside Anfield, one of the 10,000 afforded a ticket today to be at the game. Of course, just the 4th Premier League game of the season that Anfield has had supporters in for. The 3 games, of course, in December with Wolves, Tottenham and West Bromwich Albion. Of course, the other games that 2,000 each, but 10,000 today does seem a monumentous sort of day for Liverpool, a landmark occasion. And hopefully, as Matt was saying there, for next season, we will get back towards the bigger amount. The return of supporters, then, just one of the many narratives woven into the match itself. Let's head to pictures outside Anfield. Matt was explaining what it was like getting in there today, and as we can see, plenty of supporters milling around outside the ground, of course, by the main stand and the Kop there. Supporters given different times to arrive at the grounds, having to go through their checks, as Matt explained, and having been recommended to take a COVID test in the past 48 hours, 72 hours or so, and show a negative result to get themselves entrance into the ground. A big day then for Liverpool. Plenty on it, of course, still looking to try and secure Champions League qualification, but significant, the fans being back for the final day. And Jurgen Klopp, of course, was asked about the significance of 10,000 supporters returning in his press conference ahead of the game.
Is it possible to quantify how much their absence has affected you?
Yeah, 100%. It's easy. It's easy to quantify that because nothing was the same. We needed to get used to it. We did, but it should not be like this, and it should not be forever like this. I said it millions of times that it's. I love this game since I can think, but it was all about, even when I've been in the village I'm born and raised and stuff like this. When the first team of the village played at the weekend, 300-400 people showed up there, and we had only 1,200 people living in the village. So it means pretty much half of the village were on the football pitch, and it was a great atmosphere. And I loved that from the first day of my life. And it makes all the difference. We all need support through life. Means it's like if it's a positive criticism or a boost or a cheer up or whatever, we all need that. And in football especially, because it's a game based on a lot of things, but for sure of on emotion as well. And that means we were alone. We knew they are there, but we were alone. And getting 10,000 back of them is the best news I can imagine.
Well, it is, of course, a huge afternoon for Liverpool. They're out to secure Champions League qualification. And, well, Jurgen Klopp, they're talking about the significance of supporters. And that, of course, one lot of good news for Liverpool. Another today, and we are less than 5 minutes from the team news dropping that both captain Jordan Henderson and Diogo Jota to be part of the matchday squad for Liverpool. Of course, injuries have marred plenty of Liverpool's season, but 2 of the big guns back in the squad for today. We will have full team news with us here on our live stream outside of Anfield ahead of this afternoon's game with Crystal Palace. And, of course, supporters coming back, just one of the many narratives, as mentioned before. Jorginho Wijnaldum, his contract expiring at the end of the season. We'll discuss his future shortly as well. And Roy Hodgson, the former Liverpool manager, back at Anfield, his final game in charge of Crystal Palace. But let's have a look then at the situation that Liverpool do find themselves in, looking to secure Champions League qualification, and a look at the Premier League table. Liverpool, of course, with that 3-0 win over Burnley in midweek, moving ahead of Leicester City on goal difference. Chelsea, of course, just a point above. Liverpool could yet finish the season in 3rd place. This afternoon, Chelsea head to Villa Park. Liverpool, of course, welcome Crystal Palace to Anfield, and Leicester City take on Tottenham Hotspur themselves, with work to do to ensure European qualification. They could yet finish 6th ahead of West Ham and secure Europa League football for next season. So there are plenty to play for in all of the 3 games that Liverpool will be keeping an eye on through the course of the afternoon. Liverpool on 66 points, point behind Chelsea, level with Leicester, but goal difference, of course, crucially better than the Foxes. Well, as mentioned then, Georginio Wijnaldum this afternoon seemingly set for what could be his final game as a Liverpool player, and quite fittingly so. For his contributions in Champions League semi-finals against both Roma and Barcelona, playing a vital role in getting Liverpool to the finals in Kiev and Madrid. 4 years ago, this very weekend, he got on the score sheet and started the scoring in Liverpool's 3-0 win over Middlesbrough at Anfield on the final day to secure Champions League football. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Well, on the that day, of course, the final day of his first season at the club, and after 5 years with the Reds, his contract set to expire in the summer. Wijnaldum set for what could be his 237th and perhaps his final appearance for the club. And Jurgen Klopp has been speaking about the midfielder in his programme notes ahead of the game. He says, Gini Wijnaldum, an LFC legend now and forever. What this person, this wonderful, joyful, selfless person has done for our team, I cannot sum up in words. He is the architect of our success. We've built this Liverpool on his legs, lungs, brain, and his huge, beautiful heart. If, and it still is if he goes, he does so knowing we, as his teammates, are eternally grateful for having this special human being come into our lives. I love him, and he'll always be family. Well, Gini Wijnaldum, of course, one of Jurgen Klopp's very first signings in that summer transfer window back in 2016, and he has played a huge part for Liverpool, and of course helped Liverpool get to 2 Champions League finals, and even perhaps the man you could say that started that journey off with that goal against Middlesbrough on the final day of the season. Still live scenes here on Blood Red outside of the ground as we do creep ever closer towards the team news being announced ahead of the final game of the season. Liverpool, who have rallied back really over the course of the last 9 Premier League games. In that time, from the 27 points that have been on offer, 23 taken, won the last 4 in a row. And they know if they make it 5 today, they will secure a top 4 finish and Champions League football yet again. 10,000 fans, the maximum that are allowed under current government guidelines inside Anfield. And of course, just the 4th game this season that home fans have been able to get inside Anfield. The games back in December, those 3 matches, Wolves, Tottenham and West Brom. Liverpool, for the first time in their history, after that, falling to 6 successive home defeats, having, of course, gone for so long without a defeat on home soil in the Premier League. But Liverpool looking to ensure today that they do get the points in the bag, the points that they need. They need to just match Leicester City's result, and that will be enough to secure Champions League qualification. Leicester City's goal difference is worse than Liverpool's. They'd have to win by 4 more goals than what Liverpool do in order to leapfrog them if both sides are to win. But Liverpool, of course, taking on a Crystal Palace side in the bottom half of the table, will have plenty of confidence about themselves, trying to ensure that they do secure that top 4 finish. Well, we will, as soon as we can here on Blood Red, bring you the team news, which has just come in. The final lineup of the season looks like this then. Alisson Becker in goal. A back 4 of Alexander-Arnold, Reece Williams, Phillips and Robertson. Midfield 3 of Fabinho, the aforementioned Gini Wijnaldum and Thiago. Mane, Salah and Firmino in attacks. Unchanged from the 3-0 win over Burnley for Liverpool. Adrian, Milner, Henderson, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Jones, Jota, Tsimikas, Shaqiri and Nico Williams on the bench. And well, whilst we're here, we might as well take a look at the team bus arriving at Anfield earlier on. One of those iconic images that fans are always so willing to take in at Anfield on match days. And here's the footage of the bus arriving earlier in the day at Anfield. much. Top four. Well, the red smoke bellowing then into the afternoon sky at Anfield as we still see supporters making their way into the ground. Less than an hour to go then ahead of the final game of the season. Liverpool with an unchanged side from that beat Burnley 3-0 in midweek. Liverpool out to secure Champions League qualification. Head across to the Liverpool Echo website. Here on Blood Red, we'll have plenty of content to come through the course of the afternoon. We'll be live with the debrief after the full-time whistle. And of course, we'll bring you both Jurgen Klopp and Roy Hodgson's post-match press conferences here on our dedicated YouTube channel. But from myself, Guy Clark, and the Blood Red team, thanks for your time and your company. Enjoy the game. It's bye for now.
This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo.